This video is going to show you how to use the box app in the easel software to create a box. So the first thing you need to do, obviously, is establish the outside dimensions of the box that you wish to create. So this is an example of a box that a student wishes to design, and they're going to have a lid that slides in. So that's not a box with a top per se. So you just measure these edges. So we've got 4.5 centimeters by 7 and 20. So you just need to make sure you're getting the outside dimensions, since that's what you're going to type into easel. So come to easel, create a new project. You should probably name it something relevant. Okay. And now if you come to this little button that looks like a Lego, that's where your apps are. And you can search up box maker right here. For me, it already comes up. So I click on this. Remember, this is in millimeters. If you want to toggle between inches and millimeters before you come into this app, you can click this button. Oh, a couple other things I should point out before we get into that app. Make sure you have set your material correctly. And the most important things that you set are the thickness of the material, because the width and height of the material won't affect the box pattern that gets created, but the thickness will. And we are using an 1/8 inch piece of plywood, so I'm going to make this an 1/8 inch, and you can type inches in here even though the rest of it's in millimeters. And make sure you have the right size bit, because this will also affect the size of the little tabs that are created. So I'm going to say we're using a 16th. If you change this, you will have to go back and create a new box pattern. All right. So what you do is just type in the width is the longest piece, and this is millimeters, and I measured centimeters, so I'm going to add a 0 to everything. I'm not going to check top because I don't need a top of the box. That would be if I want these little tabs to be created so that the top also gets nested into the box, but we don't. We're going to then edit it and put a slot in the side of this, and we'll have to do that manually. Dog bones. Oh, it's not letting me zoom in. What a dog bone does is, I will show you in a moment when I can actually zoom, but I'm going to leave that checked and hit import. Now what a dog bone is if I zoom in, you can see that there are these little circles here. This is to account for the fact that when you drag a drill bit or an end mill through here, you're going to, by default, have a filleted corner in here because of the round nature of the bit. So this makes it so that when you put a square into here, that square corner has room to actually exist in there. All right. So now that you have this, you might want to just verify that your dimensions are right. You also probably want to move these things around so that it actually fits on the board that you're cutting. So you can just drag these. And you can arrange that based on what size wood you have and whatever makes sense. Another thing I'd suggest is verify that the dimensions make sense for the piece that you're looking at. So if I click on this and you go to shape, it's going to tell me that the overall size of this is 200 millimeters by 70 millimeters. So what that means is it's 200 from this top edge down to the very bottom edge. And that will tell you that this edge here, if I zoom in, this line right here represents the very bottom of the material. And you can tell which piece is which based on the shape. So this is a side and this is a side panel. This is the bottom panel. So this is obviously going to be a narrow style board. For any edits that you then need to make, what I suggest is, this gets a little cumbersome, but this right here indicates the bottom-most corner of this one particular shape. And you can then add in a circle or a square or maybe an imported image file into this and locate them relative to a corner or even the center of this piece. That will be covered in more detail in a different video. This is just explaining how to create the box. But really, let me just show you really quickly. If you wanted to do a slot, you could create a slot you would have to size it correctly. So if I click on this, I can say the height of the slot is also 1/8 of an inch, but you want to make it a little bigger. So let's just say for now, right now, 0.24 inches. And then you might want to locate it. I'm going to say from the top. So I want its position to be, let's say, 1/2 inch down. Oh, no, sorry. This is not going to be a 1/2 inch down from that top corner. This is going to be X and Y coordinates based on this very cornermost point. So you're going to have to do the math to figure out exactly where this lives. It might actually be easier to move this down to the bottommost corner. Let me show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to move all of these guys out of the way. And now you can work off of the bottommost. So if you know that this needs to be a certain distance down from or up from the bottom edge, let's see, it's 7 millimeters tall. So let's say I want it to be 6 millimeters from the bottom edge. Oops, this one's supposed to be 0 because that's X. Oh, sorry. Centimeters I meant. Now you can see it's raised up there. You're going to want to play with the size of this cut and so on, but that's more or less how you would have to locate this. The reason this is gray and these are black, the black means it's cutting the whole way through, gray means it's not. So that's also going to be setting the depth of the cut. You can see right here the depth of the cut is not the whole way through at all. It's actually 1.3, but all of that will be covered in a different video. But that is how you would roughly measure and locate other features relative to the box itself. That's it for now.